Welcome to Johnny's Girls Podcast. Today, Emma and I have the honor of having Major General James Livingston, Medal of Honor recipient. Welcome and thank you for taking the time at this busy weekend to talk on our podcast. General Livingston is here for the John Basilone Parade this Sunday as our special guest. I want to thank you for coming.
Well, I'm excited. This is wonderful, and so much about his history. And when I was at Camp Pendleton, he's right up down the John Basilone Road every day.
Did you ever think that, like, as a little boy growing up, that you'd achieve everything that you have?
I grew up on a little, it was a big farm down in Georgia.
Yeah.
And, how my life turned out was never something that you would envision, really. Mm-hmm. But the college experiences in North Georgia and Auburn University helped us tremendously.
Very cool.
And certainly the Marine Corps, define that, define who you are. Mm-hmm. And certainly a great family.
So you mentioned something about Parris Island. Did you meet your wife?
I met my wife at Parris Island. Mm-hmm. During my first tour, I had 2 tours at Parris Island.
Right.
I was a series commander there in '66, and we met. And she was a school teacher. All the ladies came to Parris Island to teach because they had what is called impacted aid from the feds, which means the teachers were paid for because of the Fed impacted aid and the presence of military forces there in that area. And she was a school teacher, and we met and dated for about 7 months. And so we've been together hanging on since 1966.
All right. Very cool.
And she's been a lovely wife, and I had 2 great daughters and 3 grandkids. So it's been a good ride, but I give her a rest. I figure.
Yeah.
We just got back from Texas and Las Vegas, so she was a little warm.
Okay.
Well, Emmett and I had the pleasure of going to boot camp.
Yeah.
And so we experienced 4 days compared to, of course, with the Marines experience.
Yeah.
They had an educators workshop. So we went to Parris Island and we did the whole.
Really wonderful to see the educators come down. And, see the transformation at Parris Island in San Diego and in Quantico with the officers. It was not uncommon for a mom and dad to come to Parris Island and look and be associated with a graduation with their son or daughter and not even recognize them. Mm-hmm. I mean, after 12 weeks, I've had moms come up and say, "Where's my son?" Well, he's standing by you.
Yeah.
And the transformation is remarkable. And it tells you what the Marine Corps experience at the boot camps could do for young Americans and what the outcome is, just like with your grandpa.
Our 4 days was nothing like I said.
Well, I was there twice, and there was a battalion commander the second time, and in charge of training the second time also when I was there. So, we encourage young people to consider
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And both officer and enlisted. Yeah.
When you got your draft notice in 1961,
yes.
What drew you to join the Marine Corps instead of letting the government tell you which branch you were going to go into?
Well, I was at Auburn. I was a junior, and what happened was I was looking at the POC program, Platoon Leader Class program. And normally the Platoon Leader Class, you have to go between your sophomore and junior year and you to a boot camp. Then the next summer you go to a second boot camp. But I didn't get my draft notice where I could do that. So if I went to the Platoon Leader Class program, I'd have to go to both boot camps in one summer back to back.
Oh, wow.
So 13 weeks of Quantico training. Knew very little about the Marine Corps. But this major who was what is called the Officer Selection Officer came up from Birmingham. And he's about 6'4", good-looking guy, and then dressed blues and walked in the student union and sort of started talking to me. And started talking about the opportunities in the Corps a little bit, which I didn't understand very much, even though I'd been to military school at North Georgia College for a year. And he explained what Quantico would be all about for the summer, and in fact, I'd have to go to 2 boot camps in one summer. But I kept myself in pretty good shape. I worked out all the time, so I was in pretty good shape, which is one of the big hurdles you have to go. But I looked at him. He was a sharp guy in that blue uniform, and I decided I wanted to be one of them. Mm-hmm. And I said, jokingly, he said, "We'll get you in great shape, and we'll give you all the beer you can drink."
All right, there we go.
Yeah.
That's why you signed up. That's fun.
So PLC Club over Saturday afternoon, here I come.
So since we're talking about the younger generation, how is serving today and how is it different from when you served? Like the thoughts of the younger generation of
I think
Marines
the
today.
difference in service today is a reflection of the technology and warfare. I think that's part of it. I think it's generationally what you were exposed to. You know, I came up in a much simpler life. And the Marine Corps was more focused on the infantry. Now we're more focused on the technology piece of warfare. And so I think the kids come to the Marine Corps, the Marines come in the Marine Corps with a different experience. But, you know, I say but the basic, just like when your great-grandfather was there, you know, and they would say, well, it's World War II, the greatest generation was great. I think there's a common thread amongst Marines. You know, we differ generationally and may have different little experiences. But I tell you, I think what happens at Parris Island and happens at Quantico and San Diego is, you know, we all sort of molded into this idea of what a Marine is about, what we should be capable of doing, and we want to be the best. And I don't think generationally that is going away. And I think just because of the experience with technology and the computer world and all this, maybe they're a little bit more aggressive at talking to officers and NCOs and say I was when I came in. You know, I don't think I talked to anyone above a major until I made captain, basically. You know, that was the kind of experiences I had. But now they get those experiences. And I think they have to be more aware of what's going on in the world than generationally I had to be aware of. So it's a little bit more complex to be a Marine than it was for me. But still, the basic fundamentals of being a Marine is the country is your 911 force as a Marines. We got to be ready to fight. So generationally, that's our job. And if we can't do that, the American people are not going to pay the bills for us. So we have to show them our capability, okay?
So basically, like you lived through so much, like where do you think our country is heading now?
Our country's heading now?
Yeah.
I think, you know, if you go back and study the American history, we've always had our difficult moments. And, you know, we always been a little bit divided as a country. You know, historically, we always been a little, but it's amplified now because of all the technology and all the news media, all the computer work. And everyone's aware of everything that happens instantaneously. All the news there, when I was growing up, you wouldn't know some news event of major consequences.
Right.
It may be a couple of months before you hear about it. Now you hear about it instantaneously.
Right.
And I think we're just overkill or inundated with too much media, too much information.
Totally agree.
People trying to sift this out. And I think we've got our moments, and we'll get through them. We've always got through them. So going through a moment in time, the good people will lead us through this.
It's like waves. It goes up and down.
It's like a sine curve.
Yep.
It's like a sine curve. Yeah.
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 So how do you heal with all that, like you've been through with all the Marines, you know, that lost their lives and all? It's like a daily basis.
Well, you know, what I feel about, and they were primarily young Americans that lost, our battalion in Vietnam in 67, 68 lost 200 Marines. In the Battle of Dai Do, where I became recipient of the Battle, we lost 89. And most of them are 18 and 19, 20 and 21-year-old young Americans. And I said, you know, they went downrange, you know, with full confidence in their country and their fellow Marines, and they knew what they were doing. But the thing I reflect on is they never had a chance to be fathers and grandfathers.
Right.
And I think that's what they I always speak to that in any closing comments when I talk about those young people. They gave their life for the country, gave away our whole future for the country. And we really need to acknowledge that. And if we didn't have those kind of people, we wouldn't have a country. And fortunately, we talk about the current generation, they're still signing up to be Marines. And that's that common thread.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's also how we feel about Uncle Johnny.
Yeah.
You know, not having the chance to have children or, you know, married very short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he died at a very young age, 28, I think.
28. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, he, after receiving the Medal of Honor and selling savings bonds, he said, I don't want to do this. And he wanted to go back and be with the troops. He gave his life because of his attachment to the Marine Corps and the troops. So that was his gift.
Yes.
You know, he continues to give through his legacy, and I applaud the family in the hometown, what you do here in terms of the parade,
Yeah.
and just continue that legacy.
Thank you.
And that's what creates the strength of our country.
Yeah. Thank you. So I read your book,
Yeah.
and in your book you said I did not want a regular commission since I did not intend to stay in the Corps beyond my 3-year term. How does 3 years turn into 33?
Well, because of young Marines.
Yeah.
When I was a young officer, I traveled all through the Orient. We were off the coast of Vietnam. I had all the experiences and just enjoyed being around young 18 and 19, 20 and just the drama of being a Marine and all the experiences. Every day was a different day. And where you go to, when you're working for a business, you come in and do the same thing over and over. But in the Marine Corps in the Orient and where we were located, every day was a different day. So it just sort of, as I got more involved and understood it better based on experiences I had, the appeal just became too much to let go.
Yeah, you didn't want to leave.
I couldn't get away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, like Uncle Johnny's been gone for more than like 80 years and his legacy is still strong.
Yes.
And you carry the same medal as he did. So when people look at the Marines like Uncle Johnny and yourself side by side, what do you hope that they'll see about the Marine spirit across generations? And what do you hope they'll say about your legacy?
Well, I think speaking of your Uncle Johnny, in terms of what his legacy is, he's the most decorated Marine enlisted from World War II. And, that in itself is such a legacy that we can get Navy Cross and Medal of Honor. And I think his attachment was he wanted to get back with the troops, from what I've read. He wanted to be back where the Marines were, where the action was, where Marines did their job that they signed up for. And I think that's the sort of the thing with me that I want to do is, in terms of my legacy, I want to just be remembered for not being a Medal of Honor guy, and I think he would say the same thing. I want to be remembered most of all for being a damn good Marine. And, I really... It's great having the Medal of Honor, but I don't let the Medal of Honor define my life. I always tell people what I let define my life is my experiences and what people thought about me as a Marine day to day, and not as a Medal of Honor recipient. And that's what I want to be. I want people to be reminded of in terms of my legacy. I love being a Marine. The Medal of Honor just was a day in my life, and to me in 1968. Agree, it helps out. It's opened doors for me, but I want to make sure that people recognize I stayed and enjoyed the Corps because I enjoyed it.
I think that's what you and our uncle have so much in common.
Yeah, he's right.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that was his.
Yes.
And here he could have never been involved with combat again. Was determined he was getting in the fight again, and it cost him his life. And I think this legacy is more accented because of that characteristic in his personality and what he wanted to be, what he wanted to do, and we're remembering him for that. I think that's very important. His memory's alive because of that. Yeah,
I think it's almost like a kind of theme in most Marines that they have that foundation of just wanting to be with their men.
and the troops.
Yep. I think that's what they enjoy the most.
Like I say, it's with your fellow Marines, and regardless of the circumstances, is what defines Marines and makes it. That's the reason they call us all Marines. They don't call us, like we do in the other services. You're airborne, you're a Ranger, and you go to the Marine Gold Ball. You hear the Marine Corps hymn, you hear the Marine Corps prayer. You don't differentiate in any way. It's always the common term is Marine.
So I kind of want to bring it back to like your time in the military service. So when I read the book, you touched on how you were pretty strict with your guys, no mustaches, PT all the time, and that they kind of, you could tell that they were kind of not so much of a fan as you, but
I became later a fan.
So
they came back alive.
That's right.
As they all tell me that, they all call me up all the time and say, Skipper, you were tough, but you brought us back. And, I had two things to do when I was a company commander in Vietnam in 67 and 68. Do the job and bring them home.
Yeah.
And all that stuff is talked about in the book, accented the fact of bringing them home. And I did everything in the God's world I could possibly do to bring as many of them home as I could.
What is it like when you're like in combat and everything's going on and you don't have to just worry about yourself because you're a leader, you're leading these men, you have to worry about them. So what kind of things go through your mind when you're in the middle of it?
Well, you just talk to it. And I talked to it a little bit, do their job, and bring them home.
Bring 'em home.
So do it. And all of that is predicated on how much preparation you do for this experience of combat. And when you get there and you really get engaged like we did and your great-great-grandfather got involved in, you've done everything you could to develop that instinct of being able to deal with a combat situation and do the best you can in doing the job and taking care of one another and trying to bring everyone home. But very most, you understand you're there to do a job and it's a bad job. But like I say, we emphasis on also trying to get them back here. So, like I say, we lost, I think it was 89 during the Dai Do fight and had 292 medevacs and 167 who were not medevacs. So there were only 700 Marines up against 10,000 North Vietnamese.
That's
And so
a lot.
it was a tough 3 days, and we won the day, and they pulled out and left, and left a lot of dead people around. So, and I get back over there, and quite frequently, I was there last year, and talked to the BC chief who led all the NVA in, and he and I are good friends now.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's an old part. 89 years old. The first thing he wanted to do, he grabbed his walking stick. I grabbed mine. I was using the walking stick, and he wanted to race.
Oh,
So here we are walking down this road, racing, walking stick.
did you win?
And I've been back with him 4 times, and we're 2 old warriors, and we can talk about it. And we have a beer and have a cigar, and I always take him a Barlow knife. For some reason, he loves Barlow knives, and we enjoy being around one another, and just hey, we do it through an interpreter. So it's a real experience. He got shot about 2 hours after I got shot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
wanted to bring them
200 yards from where I got shot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's a real experience.
Now, in the book, I also read about the orange story, which I enjoyed the orange story.
Yeah.
So would you be able to kind of go through that and touch on it?
I think my radio operator thinks that was the orange that was hit, but
Right.
that was hit by an AK-47. I was hit by a 50 caliber machine gun.
Oh, okay.
And I've got the bullet. I've got the AK actually bullet in my house that had blood on it, so it hit someone else. But I got hit with a much bigger bullet and almost whacked my leg off. And I had about 7 operations at Tripler Hospital in Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
But I took shrapnel and in the earlier phase of the operation, then took a little AK across the forehead. It's one almost got me. So it was a very intense period on the 2nd of May.
I can imagine.
And in the second phase of the fight is when that company got surrounded, and that's when we joined them. But I had 189 Marines, and after the end of the fight, there were only 35 of them left.
Wow.
Yeah. The continued legacy of
Right.
what you're doing here is just remarkable. And I
Thank
think
you.
continued for another 100 years, and we're trying to open Tun Towered back up, and build Tun Towered back where people have an experience of what Tun Towering's about. But the thing about the Marine Corps that defines the Marine Corps is the unique characteristics of the Marines. And it starts at boot camp, but it's how we lead them all through the process. And remember, uppermost, they're Marines. And we lose that sort of touch, that Marine touch of what defines us and make us unique from all the other services. The country won't need us. We have to define ourselves in a different way. We have to fight in a different way, and we have to be the most ready when the country is least ready. And so that's what defines our Corps, and that's what we got to focus on.
Very good.
But I kind of want to touch on like when you got the Medal of Honor. So
Oh, yeah.
when Nixon put it on, can you walk us through like that whole thing? When you were told that you were going to be receiving the Medal of Honor, what was that like?
Well, I believe it or not, I was with the Army down at Fort Benning, Georgia. I was the Assistant Marine Corps rep at the Army schools down at Fort Benning, Georgia. And I was an instructor in the Army Infantry School, but I was also the Marine rep to the Ranger, Airborne, Scout Dogs, Pathfinders, all the major schools. And I handled all the students that came in from the Marine Corps, the Navy, and the Coast Guard. And the commandant of the school called me up, and I'd heard some. I knew my award had been upgraded from a Navy Cross to a Medal of Honor, just like Jay Vargas, the other recipient in the fight. And he called me up and he said, "I've been called, and you're going to Washington, Livingston." He was a great guy, a guy named Talbot. He was a Major General Army guy and just a wonderful guy. And he said, "We'll take care of all the accommodations, and we'll take care of getting you up there and all that kind of stuff." And we got up there, and a young captain showed up at the airport, picked myself, my wife, my young daughter Kimberly, the one that went to the Naval Academy, my mom and dad, my brother and his wife, and got us all over to the hotel. And he had a handful of money about this big.
Yeah.
He said, "What do you want to do? You want to drive a Corvette, or what is it you want to do?" And I said, "No, I want to get a beer and just sort of calm down a little bit." Then we went over to the White House, and there were 10 recipients, I think, that day would get the award. That's when the war in Vietnam was peaking. That was during the Tet Offensive. So a lot of people during that period were recommended. I must say a lot, but a number of people did. But as far as recipients from Vietnam, only about a third of them got the award because the rest of them were killed during combat. So we went over there, and Nixon was there, and the commandant was there, and the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, and all kind of people were there. But the comical thing about the whole deal, when Nixon was engaging in conversation, my young daughter was in my wife's arms, and she was just raising all kind of hell. She didn't want anything to do with all this. And suddenly the cameras came out. And boy, I tell you what, the biggest smile in the world. I mean, you're talking about a real powder puff.
Yeah.
She put on the image there for the camera. And so we got that photograph at home of her, trying to work or talk to Nixon. But he tried to reach up after then and get her and hold her. She didn't want anything to do with
Thank you.
She didn't want anything to do with Nixon.
Funny.
I thought that was funny. And,
That is
it was a great ceremony, and they took us out to dinner that night, and took care of one of the islands, and it was a good experience. And the whole experience in the White House, and a tour of the White House, and all the experience, and having the family there, so it really sort of worked out good. And it's one of those keepers in terms of memories.
Yes.
And we got good photographs signed by Nixon based on the ceremony, which has been around for a long time. It's 1970 when I got there.
Very nice.
So the action is at 68. The people don't realize it takes a long time for these awards to work through the system. It takes about 2 to 2.5 years. It has to go through the complete Marine Corps chain of command, and the DOD, the Navy chain of command, then it goes through DOD, and finally after DOD finally concurs with it, it's sent over to the president via the Congress. It's awarded in the name of Congress, and it's normally just a formality with Congress. But that's the process, and it takes a very long time. And everything is checked, rechecked, double-checked, to make sure everything can withstand historical sort of analysis of what happened, and no one gets embarrassed from the outcome. Okay.
Okay. Very good.
Were you nervous to meet the president of the United States? Or
No, I was not. He was a sort of a easy guy to be involved in.
That's good.
And later I got involved with him a little bit more, and I went to Camp Pendleton because he had a place up at San Clemente where Battalion Road starts, basically. That's where Western White House was. And we provided a security detail for him when he did the Western White House. So I got involved with him over there a little bit.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. But ironically, I'm just thinking about the Battalion and Nixon, the road almost went right into the Western White House there. Yeah.
So technically he was there with you.
Yes.
His spirit was there with you.
Yeah.
I think he's looking down on us right now, being very proud of this moment.
Well,
Yes.
He's such a legacy in the Corps. And like I say, Mitch Page and I used to talk about him, and Mitch, like I say, they were both there at Guadalcanal together. And maybe you read his citation, maybe you read Mitch's citation sometime. And, with the machine guns in the big fight in 3 days, they're very, very much a lot of similarity there when they were fighting the Japanese there. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's sure ironic.
It is ironic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just as FYI, for historical sake, the last recipient from World War II was a World War II Marine named Woody Williams, and he was an Iwo Jima Medal of Honor recipient.
Didn't he just recently?
Yeah, he died a couple of years ago, but they had him up and stayed up at the Capitol. That's one thing we really pushed. The last living recipient of each war would represent that whole generation of warriors and stayed up at the Capitol.
Nice.
So I'm just going to go back to the day that kind of made your actions was what awarded you the Medal of Honor.
Okay.
So in your book, you put, I had just been hit by grenades in my right leg, while my RTO, Frank Valdez, was even more severely wounded by the blast. I was fortunate that the femoral artery had not been severed, yet despite my wounds, with assistance, we still somehow coordinated the collection and extraction of Echo's casualties, 10 dead and 60 wounded. So during all that, you can't walk, you're injured, yet you're still trying to make sure that that all your guys kind of make it
Well,
back.
I was a senior Marine there, and there was 2 companies involved in that at the end, and they were sort of focused on me. And when I got shot, that's when the thing began to sort of come apart a little bit. And my final requirement in my mind was to make sure we got all the young Marines out that were still alive, and not leave any dead ones behind. Because the company that we went up to sort of rescue was surrounded, and it was a mess of a battle there for a while until I got shot. When I got shot, that's when I told the battalion commander, I said, we just got a couple of young lieutenants here that just was new on the battlefield. I think it would be best we pull back, and I told them I'd stay and cover, and a couple of young Marines pulled me back.
Was that like a good feeling knowing that? Did you almost feel like, okay, I kind of did my job and I was a good leader because your guys went back to you to make sure that you were?
I don't think
No?
that was, I was thinking about other things, and not about anything personally. I was thinking about how do we get all these young troops out that have been wounded and the dead bodies, and get everyone back that's still alive and still capable of being moved back.
I think that
So that was the focus mentally,
your main concern.
how to make that happen.
Yeah.
And the doc put a belt around my neck, leg, and with a tourniquet, he kept shooting morphine. And
So you were feeling
I was fixing to go sky high.
you were feeling fine.
About the third to get it to come in little tubes.
Okay.
And he stick me and he say, "Skipper, how you doing?" I said, "Give me another one." But I had 3 or 4. I don't know how many damn shots of morphine. But by the time I got back, I was sort of jolly.
Okay, I can imagine. I have one more thing. So
Sure.
more with like the weight of the medal. So in your book,
Yeah,
you say Vargas. Am I saying that right?
Vargas. Yeah,
Vargas.
yeah, Vargas. Yeah.
Vargas and I would both eventually receive the Medal of Honor for our actions, but to be completely honest, I really did not feel that my actions warranted such a distinction. There were dozens of Marines who exhibited great bravery in the face of almost certain death. I know because I saw these men, their actions. Those were the real heroes. I watched them kill, watched them save their buddies, and watched many of them die and even more become wounded. One must experience this firsthand to appreciate the toll it takes on a commander. So I think the way that you're describing it, from what I've heard about Uncle Johnny, is very similar, because he says that the medal belongs to his men.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure he felt the same way with, why am I receiving the medal when it's... So when I read that, I was like, there's parallels to that.
We were for them. And ironically, most of the Marines got shot through the head. And the reason they got shot through the head, we were attacking a big bunker complex. And the way the aperture of the bunkers were set up, the Marines had to be very close when the NVA were able to engage them, and usually they shot them through the head. So that's the reason so many of them died right there.
Right.
They were dead
Yeah.
as soon as they hit the ground.
Right.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you would like to?
Well, I just say I'm just gratified to be here, and I've always.
We're an honor to have you.
Well, like I say, I didn't realize y'all hadn't had a Medal of Honor recipient up here in a while. Or
No, you're our
You're our
first one.
first.
is that the first one?
You're our first
Well,
one.
I didn't. That's what I found out, and I'm the senior Medal of Honor recipient, and I was a little disappointed to find that out. Very, very, very frankly, I'll be very honest with you. And I figured it's about time we get off our ass and get a Medal of Honor, and I picked myself
Well,
to do
thank
that.
you for coming.
Thank you.
Myself
Yeah.
to do that, and we worked out all the details, and we're doing a lot of things because there's only 8 Marines left, and I'm the senior Marine.
Yeah.
But I'm just gratified to be here and be associated with this family and have the experience of knowing where he lived and what he did. And we all know what he contributed and what he means to the Corps and continue to mean to the Corps because, you go to Parris Island, you know who John Battalion is.
That's what we heard when we
Before
were
you
there.
graduate from Parris Island, we're all aware of his legacy and what he represents. And I applaud the family and the city and the whole effort to keep his legacy alive. It's very important
Thank
for
you.
young people.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. That's why I'm trying to.
Well, like I say,
Started the foundation.
you're doing a good job generationally doing that and remembering who he is. And like I say, I applaud you for doing that. It's very, very important. Not only
It's an honor hearing it
for
from
the
you.
country, for the Corps, and it just means a lot.
Thank you.
And his record in terms of being the most highly decorated enlisted Marine, people need to understand what that means. That's a real key element in this conversation. And the country needs that now.
Yes.
They need to know we've got John Battalion out there if we need him in the future.
Yep,
Yes.
100%.
Trying to keep that going.
But I thank you for allowing me to join you all and be involved in the parade tomorrow and meet some of the people in the city. And I'm so proud that your city, it appears to be really focused on
Yeah.
his legacy and his parade. And so that's good.
Yeah.
Touching a lot of people in a very, very good way.
Thank
So
you.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you for your time and your service. And tomorrow, when you're riding in that parade, just know that millions of people are thankful for you
Well,
and the military and the
Thank you.
veterans.
like I said, there's only 61 of us allowed, and there's only 8 Marines. So, the Medal of Honor Society is sort of an aging population, and maybe we may never have any more, which would be good. But if we do, I think there'll be young men and young women that will stand up and do what is right for the country and for the people of the country.
Good.
Good.
That's good to hear.
Yes.
That's good to hear, especially as someone who I still got time.
Yeah.
So it's good to hear.
We focus on the minority of people that, meaning the people who maybe are not good examples, but most of the people are good examples.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But this was an honor.
Well,
Believe it, an honor.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to be here and be amongst the family and be amongst your family. I've known about it ever since I was a tiny Marine, if you will, growing up. John Battalion has been part of the history, and everyone knows what kind of example he was. So to keep his legacy alive is important for the nation, your city, but it's mostly important for the Corps and the future young Marines. They got to understand who he was, his contributions, and hopefully most of them want to be like him to the extent they can be. And just continue to do what you're doing, and you're doing his service in a way indirectly. Okay, so keep his legacy alive.
Thank you.
God bless you for doing it.
God bless you.
For doing that. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Johnny, your legend will forever live, forever live, forever live, forever live.